Hey guys, this is Maverick Capitalist here, and I'm here in Florida. I'm going to talk to everyone here. This is especially for Gen Z guys, and that's why you do not want to go down with this ship here in the US. There's so many problems that have been going on now and culminating for decades here. Often you're led to believe that you have to go fight, you have to defend a country that simply doesn't defend you, men, and stand here and basically go down with the ship. That's why I use this title in the video. It's never worked in history. Historically, guys have either fight or they fly, and that's how it works. What we're seeing now in the US, though, we can look at like the COVID era, and during this period, most countries, they barred US citizens from even entering and certainly staying there. What we're going to see probably in the near future as the economy, the dollar goes down in value, the overall society goes down stateside and probably also in Canada, it's going to be very difficult to both get out of the country and also, more importantly, immigrate to another country. These options are going to become very limited, and that's even if you have money that has value that can take you elsewhere, because the US dollar obviously is going to also decline in accordance, and that's just how it works. And you don't want to go down with the ship. You don't deserve this. Most of the policies that were set in place generation over generation, Gen Z especially, had nothing to do with. Millennial had nothing to do with. For those Gen Zers out there, millennials were part of something called Protest Wall Street, which honestly was a very synthetic creative movement by big globalists like George Soros, but that's a different story. These people were protesting big time about what was happening on Wall Street when the 08-09 financial collapse happened. It was a major percentage of the people because a lot of these younger millennials got out of college and they either lost their jobs or they were about to seek a good job and they couldn't find one. Henceforth, Occupy Wall Street. There were other age groups, there were Gen Xers, there were some boomers, but it was mostly millennials. Then the boomers were quick to call out these like millennials as causing all the issues and voting for leaders like Barack Obama and all this other nonsense. But it was like, no, it was the boomers. They were the initial generation that inputted a lot of the disastrous policies that we then saw happen decades later. You Gen Zers are probably too young, maybe. Some probably realize this, but millennials will be blamed for a lot of this stuff. You have guys like Ramsey that love to hate on millennial guys. Not girls, just guys or women. But he always harps on the guys. It's never the women. And he's big, like, anti-millennial guy person, but the point is that a lot of the problems weren't even caused by the millennials. They were already there. And this is something to understand because this goes back to the consequences of the policies previous generations put in place. You shouldn't feel liable and responsible for fighting or staying around or feeling ashamed to leave. You won't get out too before it's too late. It's like the Titanic example. Once it's too late, it's too late. Like I said, we saw with COVID that gate closed for many countries. You could not go to if you were from the US. That is going to happen in the future if you don't leave soon enough. And that's why when we still have a lot of options, availability of countries, us citizens from the US, from Canada, you really want to explore those options now and possibly leave ASAP if you can, or work towards that and put everything in place, because you do not want to go down with the ship. It's not going to be pretty here. You have no responsibility. Most of the disastrous crap that came in place is not your fault. And that's something to always understand, that it wasn't your fault. These people that put these policies in place, they were born way before you or before us millennials were born. And also this whole forced conscription system that you see in places like Ukraine could happen here in the US. All these younger folks could be responsible for going into the military and dying for something they had nothing to do with, and furthermore weren't interested in being a part of. Just remember that we're becoming more and more like a police state here in America. We see this in all over the US. Look how cops dress. Look at their attire. They look like paramilitary people now in the US. All the laws, and just there's a long list of policies now that you have that basically make America feel like there's not freedom of speech and freedom of expression. But that's obviously just how it's became now. Just know that when the ship is down, these countries are not gladly going to open their floodgate and let people in. At least good countries aren't. They're not going to be very receptive unless you bring very high level of talent, money, possibly marriage if you're married to someone. Otherwise, a lot of these countries will not permit people to freely come in. It's not going to be like the situation you had going for the Americans for decades. It's going to really become a disaster for most folks. And that's why you want to get out sooner than later. Don't stick around. Don't feel like you're obliged to anything. Andrew Henderson, the great nomad capitalist, talks about planting flags. Flag theory is the way to go. And maybe you don't know or desire one country, but maybe you have a couple options. And even if you don't have a lot of money, when I was 20, 21 as a Gen Y millennial, for those Gen Z guys that are in that situation, look around and start maneuvering and figuring it out. Learn the language of that country that you're wanting to go to. And this could also even apply for guys like in Western Europe and other parts of the world. You really want just getting prepped for that and getting out before it's too late. You're always better off years earlier than a day too late, as they say. It will save you a lot of stress and heartache, and you won't have to be like one of these Cubans that has to get on a little raft boat and go across an ocean or body of water to find freedom. You don't want to be in that situation. And so you put in the groundwork, the prep work. Just don't be afraid. See it as something exciting and positive that you're working towards. So I look forward to everyone's feedback below, and thank you.